guys, welcome back to my YouTube channels. I always clap, it's so loud. I can't speak. Okay, let me get situated. My camera's about to die, my computer's about to die. Things are not on my side. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So if you're new here, my name is Shelly. I am a third grade teacher in Northern California. For today's video, I am going to be doing just a teacher question and answer video. So I have done two other question and answer type videos on this YouTube channel. So for this specific question and answer video, I posted a photo on Instagram and I asked you guys to ask whatever questions you want, and I had like 99 comments or something. So I went through every single one of them and I kind of pulled out the questions that I haven't really answered before. So I'm gonna put my other Q&A videos somewhere up here because in those videos I answer a lot of the questions that you guys asked. So questions like interview tips, student teaching advice, test prep advice, why I wanted to become a teacher, when I decided I want to become a teacher, credentialing questions. So those type of questions that I've already answered before. Not to mention, I have like a full video on behavior management, student teaching, interview tips, and my teaching story. So all those things already exist here. So make sure you go back to look at those videos and get your questions answered, because I don't want you to feel like I just ignored you. I didn't ignore you, I've just already answered it. So for this specific Q&A, to make sure it's not 45 minutes long, I went through and I pulled out the questions that I don't think I've ever answered on camera before, or if I have, just really quickly. So without further ado, let's get this question and answer started. Okay, so I also broke the questions up into like teaching related questions and then personal questions. So I am gonna start with the teaching questions because I'm a teacher and this is the teaching channel. So, okie dokie, here we go. So question number one, and I had a couple people ask me this question, and that is, how do you differentiate for all kiddos, and how do you differentiate for different types of learners? So kinesthetic, tactile, visual, audio, whatever. Audio, is that right? I am at a school where I have a big range of academic ability. So the best way and the easiest way that I know how to differentiate is via small groups. So I'm gonna use math for an example because that typically is the one where we see a lot of range as far as abilities go. So for math, what I do is I teach one whole group lesson to everybody. In that whole group lesson, I try to do a variety of different activities to reach all of those learners. So for example, my kinesthetic learners, I love to do activities that have the kids in like the 4 different corners of the classroom to practice. So for example, we were doing polygons. This is gonna be a 45-minute video, I can just tell. We were doing a lesson on polygons, and I had like each corner of the room was a different type of polygon, and I would show one and I'd have the kids move to that different part of the room. So there's your kinesthetics. You could do literally any movement in any lesson, and I try to. And then I always have an anchor chart. So for my visual kids, I always have that up for the entire whole group lesson. And then my auditory learners, obviously, you get to hear me talk and each other. I feel like it's not so hard to hit all the different learners as much as it is differentiate to ability. So I will teach a quick 10, 15 at most minute whole group lesson, and then we will do a bunch of guided practice. And then from there, the kids go do their independent work, and this is when I get to pull my small groups. So if they need that extra help or they're kind of on a different skill, I will pull those small groups, and small groups is the best way that I know how to differentiate for all my kids. I feel like you can make an entire video on just like different differentiation strategies, but in short, that is kind of how I differentiate for my students. Do you plan on teaching third grade forever, or are you interested in other grades? I do love third grade. I know that I don't want to go lower than third grade. I would always like to go higher. I have my days where I'm like, should I be a 6th grade science teacher? Like, I don't know why, that's like in the back of my head. So maybe one day that's where you'll see me, but I do absolutely love third grade and the elementary kiddos. I really like this question, and I don't know how well I'm gonna be able to answer it because it's just not me, but someone asked, can introverts be teachers? And if so, do you have any management tips for introverts? Absolutely. I think the only criteria for being a teacher is that you have to love kids, and that's pretty much it. But just because you're not the most loud, outgoing, crazy, energetic person in the world does not mean that you're not a good teacher by any means, and it doesn't mean that you can't manage a classroom. A lot of management strategies that I use don't even require me to be an extrovert. It's just a matter of like consistency and being true to yourself. I think kids more than anyone can tell when you're like trying to be something that you're not or someone that you're not. And I think that's when they're gonna eat you alive. So as long as you're like true to yourself and stay consistent with your management, that's the best tip. Because yes, you could be an introvert or a little bit shy and still be an amazing teacher. Some of my favorite teachers actually weren't like, "Rah!" in your face, kind of like I am still, but whatever. What made you decide to go to grad school? So if you follow me, you noticed that in one of my vlogs, I mentioned that I'm starting my master's program in May. So that's where this question's coming from. I did decide to go back and get my master's. I'm gonna be really honest with you. The main driving force is the pay. Of course, I wanna educate myself. I think the most beautiful thing about teaching is that we always get to learn and improve and master our craft. But for me, it's the pay, honestly. In my district, you get substantially bigger paychecks when you have your master's completed. So that, and also, we wanna start a family in the future, and I would love to have my program done and out of the way before I have kids. So that was another like huge kind of pulling factor for me. Also, the program that I found is 100% online and I'll be done in a year. So I'm stoked. I kind of like grouped these ones together. What is the best thing about teaching and the worst thing about teaching? So to keep it short, the absolute best thing about teaching, in my opinion, is the kids. Building those relationships with these little people that like just inspire me every single day. That's the best part, and knowing that you can potentially have that impact on them for the rest of their lives. And the worst part about teaching is the pay. I think, and I know there's people out there that like, you guys have 16 weeks off a year, but hear me out. Here's the thing. People get paid more to do a harder job. I'm not talking days of the week, because we all know that we work during the summer and after school and before school. I'm talking like, how hard is your job? Not everybody can walk into a classroom and teach a bunch of kids. That's all I'm saying. On that note, the next question was, how do you deal with your low salary, and does your love for teaching outweigh the salary? 100% my love for teaching outweighs the salary. I don't think any of us get into the profession for the money. We all walk into it knowing that we're not gonna be able to make a lot of money. However, there are 100,000 other side hustles that you could be doing to make sure that you are financially comfortable, I should say. And it also helps when you're married or have a significant other. That just makes two incomes obviously a lot easier. So for me, I bartended. I don't anymore. That was another question. I no longer have a second job, but also social media is a great way to make money. I obviously am not on social media, or didn't start social media with that in mind, but now that that's kind of where it's at, that's definitely a way to supplement your income. I mean, there's 100 million things you could do to supplement, so just keep that in mind. Definitely my love outweighs the salary for sure, but managing it, having a husband, a side gig, and just being really mindful of your spending and your saving. I like this question. Do you feel like you're constantly cleaning your classroom? Yes, and this is partly just my personality. Like during the day when I'm teaching, I just put stuff down. Like I get so unorganized, and then my desk is just like a hot mess, but I don't stay and clean it. It's just like whenever I feel like it, or if I have some extra time on a prep, I'll clean it. But I do love to utilize the kids when it comes to cleaning the classroom. You know, like having classroom jobs is super important. And then every other Friday, we do like a deep clean. So I assign jobs, and the kids love it. It gives them ownership of the space as well. So yes, I feel like I'm always cleaning it, but I'm not actually always cleaning it. Speaking of masters as well, someone asked, in my opinion, do I think you should graduate with your credential and then immediately start your master's, or teach for a little bit and then go part-time? And honestly, this is 100% circumstantial and like where you're at in your life. For me, I just needed a break. I didn't want to keep doing school. I just wanted to take everything I learned and focus my first year on teaching. That's not everybody. Some people I know get your credential and your master's in the same program. For me, I just like wanted to get a year under my belt and just focus on that, and I couldn't even think of doing a master's program, even in my second year. That's why I'm just now starting it at the end of my second year. But it's totally what you think you can handle and the experience that you want. Someone asked me, what do I think the #1 product every new teacher should have that they wouldn't even think of buying? And it's kind of silly, but it changed my life. And do you know what it is? It's a lightsaber. Yep, you heard me, a lightsaber. Like one of the ones where you throw it out. I have one that glows. And y'all, this increased student engagement and participation like tenfold. I'm talking like, who wants to come up and read this sentence holding the lightsaber? All 25 hands go up in the air. Who wants to come up and correct the sentence? All 25 hands go up in the air just because they want to hold the dang lightsaber. I'm telling you, get yourself a lightsaber. Someone asked if I have any strategy going into my first classroom as far as setting up, I would assume is what they meant. Yes and no. I definitely was saving and collecting books, and I was also collecting blue and green bins because that's what I knew I wanted my color scheme to be, probably like too much so. It's really hard to go in with a main strategy when you really haven't seen your space. Some people are lucky enough to see their space, but I didn't know what I was walking into. So it's really hard to go in with a strategy. I would just say, think about main things. Like, how do you want your classroom library to be set up? Do you want flexible seating? Do you want a teacher desk or a teacher table or both? And then do you need a carpet space for your kiddos? Because that's gonna dictate the way you set up your desks. The short answer is no, I didn't really have a strategy. I definitely walked in my room and changed the layout 300 times before I really started to like staple things to the wall. But good luck. It's really fun, I promise. Somebody asked if I could teach anywhere in the world, where would it be and why? And my answer is Spain, because I've always wanted to live in a Spanish-speaking country. My Spanish was on point at one point in my life. And being in Spain, I could go all throughout Europe, places I've never been, places I have been. Now I want to travel. Should I buy a ticket? Somebody asked about my worst experience with a parent, and I kind of wavered back and forth on if I wanted to answer this or not, but I think it's important for you guys to hear in case you're ever in the situation. So I had a parent who kept coming to me saying that her child was getting bullied, and I did everything that I knew in my power. I said, okay, we'll separate them. I will keep an eye on it. We did like, what do you call it? Restorative practices between the kiddos. I thought we're in a good space. As the year progressed, it turned out that that student kind of was becoming the bully, and the parent did not want to hear that, was not receptive to it at all, and instead it was my fault. I wasn't doing enough to make sure she wasn't getting bullied. And it was really hard because I was like, look, I'm doing everything that I can do. You're not listening. So at that point, I just kind of pushed off on my principal and I said, this is what's going on. And I am so fortunate to have a very, very supportive administration. So they kind of took it from there. The kid ended up leaving, and that's that. It's not fun. Like, it's not. Somebody asked how many schools did I apply to get into the credential program. I only applied to one school because I don't want to say that they accept everybody, but the acceptance percentage was really high, and I was pretty confident that I was gonna get in. I really just didn't think that I wasn't gonna get in, and I'm not saying that to be like cocky. I genuinely think they accept everybody that applies. Had I not gotten in though, I just probably would have done something online. But yeah, I'm not sure how it works in other states. A lot of people ask me specific questions about like testing and stuff, and every state is different, and all the answers you wanna know are on Google, I promise. Somebody asked me advice that I had if you're wanting to move schools, and it sounded like she was kind of in a, I really wanna move, like I'm not in a good space, but I'm kind of afraid. And my response to that would be, I've obviously not been in that position, but my response to that would be, you have to do what's right for you, like, and in your life, that's it. People's feelings might get hurt, there might be an awkward conversation, but at the end of the day, a 5-minute conversation of awkwardness and like your life and your happiness, you know what I mean? You just have to do what's right for you. Principals have been there, people understand, believe it or not. I just think if you are not happy, you have to go. That's just the long and short of it. I'm sorry. I don't know if that was what you wanted to hear, but that's my 2 cents. If that was a little kick in the booty you needed, girl, get out. Go somewhere else, just go. Somebody asked me if I saw myself being a teacher forever or if I wanted to move on with my career in like another field. I really don't know. I love being in the classroom, I really do. I could see getting into like public speaking, at conferences and things like that, but I don't see myself leaving the classroom anytime soon. And I definitely don't wanna do anything like district level. Like, that's just not my jam. I love this question. Somebody said, if you could teach your kids one thing, what would it be? And truly, I don't know if it's teachable. However, I would just teach my kids to be kind to everyone. The world is in a place where we just need to be kind. And if I could teach them one thing, it would be to be kind to every single human being. The next question is, what's the most surprising thing about being a teacher YouTuber? I think the most surprising thing is like the amount of incredible people that I've met from putting myself out there on the internet. I'm not even necessarily talking about like people that have come up to me and said, hey, I'm talking like other teachers and other educators out there. Hearing perspectives of other teachers, meeting other teacher internet people in real life, like that to me was the most surprising thing. I never went into this thinking I'd make like a ton of friends and just like amazing connections with people. That is the most surprising and the most rewarding, I think, just the relationships. Somebody asked, do I have any negative experiences with staff members or like negative Nancy's? I am fortunate enough that I love my staff. I get along with everybody. There are a couple people that tend to just be negative all the time, like they're just always complaining or whining, and my rule of thumb is this. This goes for all teachers, and probably I have to take this advice every now and then, but we all need to vent, I get that. We all need to complain every once in a while, I get that. However, if you're complaining about something and then you're not receptive to any solutions, that's what drives me nuts. To deal with that, if I'm getting a lot of negativity, you know, in the staff room or on the playground or something, I just walk away. Like sometimes I just can't handle it. I'm like, I'm dealing with my own stuff right now. I don't need your negativity all the time. So that's what I do. Okay, this is my last like teaching related question that I pulled was, how do you stay calm during like a big behavior blowout? And I loved this question. So it's hard and it's not easy and I'm not perfect and I don't do it all the time. We did a really awesome trauma-informed training at my school. And kids who've experienced trauma typically have big behavior issues. And there's specific ways that you're supposed to deal with them on like a neurobiological level. And I'm not an expert and I might even misspeak here, so fact check me, but this is just what I remember from our training. The hardest thing to do is to keep your cool and not say things like calm down, take a breath, relax. Like those are things that I used to do and probably still do every once in a while. But those kids that are triggered and they're having a big blowout is the last thing that they need to hear. I think the most important thing to do is if you're feeling yourself get escalated, tap out. Call for help. Call the office, call your behaviorist, call somebody else, because that kid in that moment is triggered. They're escalated, and if you then become escalated or angry, it's going to make it worse. So it's okay every once in a while to tap out. I like to pride myself on like not sending kids to the office, not sending them to buddy rooms, because I like to deal with my issues in my classroom. However, I also have my tipping point, and sometimes I'm done. And if I think you're finally gonna get me to that point where I'm gonna explode, I will tap out and I will call for help. There's nothing wrong with asking for help. I hope that helped. All right, then I only had a couple like personal questions, and I can't remember if I've answered these before, but there's only like 6, so we're just gonna go through it. How did Chris and I meet? We met in high school. We did not date in high school. I went to college. I came back from college and we kind of like met at a friend's Halloween party, and we've been together ever since, 6 years almost. Crazy. Favorite way to relax and become rejuvenated? My favorite way to rejuvenate myself is to take a mental health day. Like, just take a day off, it's okay. I really like retail therapy, it makes me calm down. Honestly though, my favorite way is to just go for a walk outside. Like, I'm not even saying go for a crazy hike, but like especially if it's nice out, the sun is really good for my mood. So just going for a walk, whether I'm with my dogs or without them, like I just need fresh air. That's the best way for me to relax. And then just letting myself sit on the couch and not do anything, and cooking. Those are the things that really make me like, when do you want to try for a kid? You would not believe how many human beings in my life have been asking me this question. We just got married, you got 2 dogs, you bought a house, when are you having a baby? It's like the question of the year. We want to start a family within the next year or 2. That's all, I don't know. Favorite place to shop for teachers' clothes? You know this if you've been around for a while. TJ Maxx is my jam. It's budget friendly. You do have to kind of weed through a lot of ugly stuff to get to the cute stuff, but it's there. That's where I get 99.9% of my teacher clothes. Non-teacher clothes, I like Zara and like Forever 21 and Macy's and Nordstrom Rack, let's be real. The last question says, what are you doing for summer? So I'm going to Canada with one of my best friends, so that is really fun. I have 3 weddings that I will be going to. I am going to work on this house. We have a lot of projects that we want to get done, so I'm gonna have a lot of time over summer. I'm gonna work on YouTube. I have things that I want to do for my classroom because I am gonna have to move again. And I'm also gonna be doing a lot of backwards planning, like really digging into this curriculum with my colleagues and yeah. Relaxing, playing with my dog, going on the boat, the typical summer stuff, can't wait. Okay guys, I hope this wasn't a 45-minute long video. If I didn't get to your question, I am so sorry. Leave it down below and I will try and answer it. But again, I did answer a lot of the questions I was asked in other Q&A videos, so I will link those at the end of the video. If you enjoy Q&As, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please click the little subscribe button so you can join our little family here on YouTube. It's a fun place to be. Also, if you're not following me on Instagram, make sure you go over there and do it now at Early Adventures. And other than that, I hope you guys are having a wonderful day wherever you are in the world. Mwah! I love you so much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.